What's up, guys? West Coast Picks here, and today I'm going to show you how I make my pin T-pin. Massive security pin. There's like, 3 or 4 different types of security on one pin. What you see here is a pin lathe. It's just a taken apart cordless drill. You've probably seen it in various stages on my channel, but if not, this is what it is, just built into a box on the front. Can't really see there. It's got a power switch and a 10 turn potentiometer variable knob, variable resistor, so that can control the speed of it. And most of the time it's cranked anyway, so and inside underneath here you can see a power supply that I built for it, heat sink on a it's a LM317T variable voltage regulator. Anyway, I keep other files and stuff down there when I'm not using it, but this is more about the pin T-pins. So to start, I always put a driver pin in, and I use a driver pin because they're flat on the ends. You can use a key pin, just take a file and flatten it down. And you can use a regular drill here. You don't need a pin lathe or a Dremel or anything. You use a cordless drill or pretty much anything. So the first thing I'm going to do is, this is going to be the collar. So it's a driver pin, and I'm going to get a hole in it. It's not always easy. Sometimes you don't get the center, and you'll know when you don't get the center because it'll start to wobble. And if you don't, just take the pin out, flip it over, and try on the other side. And if you fail twice, then you can just file it flat and try again. You lose a little bit of the pin, but it doesn't matter. They're just drivers. Anyway, let's get started. Let's put a hole in the pin. Alright, as you can see, it's wobbling, and I have it center. As you can see, it's wobbling, so that's not center. Let's try the other end. If it's wobbling when you go to drill it, drill a hole in it, that means the hole is off center, and the center of your inner pin would be off center, which means the pin's going to be bigger in the chamber and probably won't fit. It's got to be pretty much perfect, so we'll try again. Alright, much better. Much better. No wobble now. I'm going to use a pair of pliers to hold it and just push it through. So there's a hole in it now. As you can see, it's really centered. Oh, sorry. It's very centered because we didn't drill the wobbly one. If we were to drill the wobbly one, that hole would not be centered. It would be off to one side, and that wouldn't be a good thing. So anyway, put that aside. That's our outer sleeve. And now I'm going to make the inner pin. And there's probably going to be some fast forwarding on this because it takes quite a bit of filing. But I start with a semi-long key pin, just because they're more common. And you can see how much room I actually have extra on that pin. So what I do is the top here, I put it in, I don't know if you can see that, it's about 1/8 of an inch or something like that. But that's going to be the untouched portion, top of that pin. I'm not going to be doing any filing there. I'm going to file from there all the way down. So that is going to be the top of the pin when I'm done. And I just use a regular file. This is a Black Diamond Nicholson, made in Mexico. Oh crap! Oh well. I thought these were made in America, but oh well. Anyway, so I'm probably going to fast forward a little bit because it's going to take a while. So here we go. And you can see if you push down too hard, that'll happen. So you don't want to push down too hard. It'll make the pin slip out. but it does. Just make sure that you lined it up the same way you did before. There we go. Alright, let's give that a shot. Alright, so it slides on there nice. Yeah, it's really good there. So now, I'm going to polish up the inner portion of that pin. So I'm just going to take a little bit of sandpaper here. This is like 600 grit. It's pretty fine, but just to polish it up. Alright, it's all nice and polished, and now that I have it on here, I like to, if I can find my saw blades, just use there's just a small saw blade that broke a long time ago, but it's still nice and sharp, and I use it for making serrations because it's nice and thin. And I like to put a few serrations on the shaft of this inner pin. Alright, so now we have, if you can see, a nice inner pin that has been serrated on its inner shaft. I don't know how good this camera is going to show that, but get the light to hit it properly. You can see there's serrations on it. You can kind of see on the camera. So there's serrations on it, and that causes this, when you're going up and down, it causes it to, bind. It's actually doing it pretty good. It causes it to bind on the edges of those serrations, and it makes it a lot harder. So now that you put it together, you can see that our T-pin is actually quite large. The T itself is sticking out pretty far. So we want to take it down to probably where I put that last serration there. So let's do that now. When it's like this, it's hard to chuck up, so just keep it in. Alright, I'm pretty much at that last serration there. Let's test it before we pull it off. Yeah, perfect. We're going to be trimming this outer a little bit too, so that will get bigger by the time it's done. And now I chuck it up the other way. And I'm going to put a nice serrate on the top of this pin. So that gives us another serration, another security feature on this pin. Yeah, nice sharp serration on there now. You can see at the top. Don't know if you can. This camera's pretty bad. There we go. So it's got a nice serration on the top. And now on the collar. And depending on what you want to do with the collar, spool or serrated. If you go spool, try not to go too deep. Serrated, well, the same, but it's easier to not go so deep on a serrated. I'm going to do serrated on this one. Alright. Then the other way, I can get one more serration on the other side here. Alright, so loosed in there. So essentially we're done. I'm just going to put it back in here and hit the file on either end of this pin, but there's our outer with, with a bunch of serrations in it. Probably, well, at least 4. I put 4 in there, so. And before we put it all together, I'm just going to trim it. You're not really taking it down, you're just making it flush from when you drill a hole in it and stuff like that. There's a little bit of deflection, so. I just cruise it all up, makes everything fit nice. And then, put it together. And we have our pin, T-pin. So you can see it's, how am I going to do this? I know. That's nice and close. Alright. So, as we can see, we have a nice serrated pin and pin T-pin. Let's close it all the way here. There we go. As you can see, there's, about our 1/8 inch or 1/16 or whatever sticking out there. Seems to be rolling around a bit here. And our serration on the top and our 4 serrations on the collar. And of course our serrations on the inner pin. So if you want to count the security features of this pin, the fact that it's a pin and pin is 1. The fact that it ends up as a T-pin is 2. The fact that it has serrated collar is 3. The fact that it has a serrated upper is 4. And then the fact that it has a serrated inner T-pin. If you can count that, I don't know if it matters or not, but that's really 5 security features on this one pin. And I think that's why they're a little tricky when I put them into locks. I haven't made a lock with all 5 or 6 yet. I usually only put 1 or 2 in there, and that usually seems to do the job. Anyway guys, that's how I do it. Have a good one.